making this video, bro. I'm just wanted to kind of put out there, the things that they don't want you thinking about as far as like birth certificates, things of that nature. And I feel like it has a lot to offer us and to bring out that needs to be, more, this is what mainstream media should be talking about. This is what schools should be teaching us. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go through a couple of articles and, I hope that I bring some clarity. All praise to the Most High. So, birth certificates are federal bank notes. Now, this link is linkedin.com, birth certificate post /birth certificates federal bank notes by Dr. Paul Forms, PhD, right? This was published back in 2016. And as we just read, birth certificates are federal bank notes by the Truth Denied. What is this building? The American Banknote Building. American Banknote Company is a subsidiary of American Banknote Corporation. And products range from currencies, credit cards, to passports and driver's licenses and birth certificates. That's all important, right? Keep that in mind. This one company provides all these things, right? All right. In the USA, citizens have never obtained the original birth certificate. What they possess is a copy. Furthermore, these copies have a serial number on them, issued on special bank bond paper and authorized by the American Banknote Company. All right. The original birth and naturalization record for every U.S. citizen is held with Washington, D.C., which is the District of Columbia, which I encourage research on that matter, right? And the property and assets of every living U.S. citizen is pledged as collateral for the national bank debt. That's important. So, read it again. A U.S. citizen is pledged as collateral for the national bank debt. Thinker of a thunker, right? Every citizen is given a number, the red number on the birth certificate, and each live birth is reported to be valued at $650,000 to $750,000 Federal Reserve dollars in collateral from the Fed. Okay, so that's how much money the Federal Reserve makes for the Feds via you. Hence the saying, we are owned by the system, literally. The government recognizes two distinct classes of citizen: state citizen, federal citizen, right? And we're going to jump down. I do encourage that everybody come back and check this article out. It has a lot of information in it. I actually plan on rereading it myself. But unbeknownst to most people, the class term U.S. citizen does not exist as a political status until 1866. It was a class and political status created for the newly freed slaves and did not apply to the people inhabiting the states of the Union, who were at that time state citizens. Right. Mr. Richard James McDonald, former law enforcement, California. Right. Jumping down again. Your birth certificate is really a banknote, which means the citizens are what is known in the stock market as a commodity. Definition of a commodity: a basic good used in commerce that is interchangeable with other commodities of the same type. Commodities are most often used as inputs in the production of other goods or services. The quality of a given commodity may differ slightly, but it is essentially uniform across producers. When they are traded on an exchange, commodity must also meet the specific minimum standards, also known as a basic grade. Any good exchange during commerce, which includes goods traded on a commodity exchange. So, if we didn't catch it the first time, I'll repeat myself at the risk of being redundant. U.S. citizens are owned by the United States Federal Reserve, a note in the stock exchange being traded as a commodity. So you're not a person. Well, in the eyes of the United States and any other Western banking country, you are not a person. You are a number, which is used in stock exchange as commodity. That's interesting, bro. That's something that right there should have your head. You should be scratching the skin off, right? um, let's see. Did I want to go in through anything else on here? This is good. The Federal Reserve Bank is not owned and controlled by the U.S. government. Rather, it is owned and operated by international families, such as the Rothschilds. If you haven't heard about them or don't know about them, I definitely encourage you checking those people out, man. And in short, they funded both sides of every war, or most wars, especially in recent history. Most likely since I would say the Great Depression for sure. You are owned by foreigners, bankers, and your physical body is collateral bond that has been issued on all your future earnings, your children's future earnings, etc. Where were you taught this in school? Why not? And right there, I'm gonna let y'all. Come back and read and see why not. Right. Now let's go back here. Let's go over here. This is a different article. As you can see, it say understand contract law and uwin.com, right? But this is going to go, I came here to kind of get, some background as far as this state citizen, federal citizenship, which he mentioned earlier, right? So we're going to start here. All that the states of the Union have is a political arrangement with the United States whereby the states of the Union have delegated limited authority to the United States for specific purposes as are outlined in the United States Constitution, right? Now, I kind of jumped into the middle of the article here. I think it is going to go over it, but basically the background to where I just started would be that the states in themselves are personal or they stand alone, right? And via United States Constitution, they've come together such as what a corporation would do, being that it is a collection of different entities, right? So that's where we're at. It is historically and politically incorrect as well as contrary to the determination of the United States Supreme Court to refer to American society as a nation or a country. It is proper to refer to the American political alliance as a society, as the United States of America is an alliance of nations, a confederation of sovereign states. Oh, there it is right there, right? Each state in the Union is separate, distinct, and foreign to each other, as the laws of one state do not operate within the borders of any other state. That's why you have, state-to-state gun laws and state-to-state driving laws, and that's how you have all that. And different ordinances. You can go here and pop firecrackers, but you can't do that here. You know what I'm saying? That's how you get that type of stuff, right? The two ways by which acts of Congress become operable within any state of the Union are via the U.S. Constitution and by secession. Each state has the status of any other nation on the world scene. Each state in our Union has its own constitution, its own land over which it exercises jurisdiction, its own citizen, its own legislative, executive, and judicial branches of government. Police power, right? New York City Police, Houston Police, all that, right? Prison system and military. Both the state militia and the National Guard are under control of the governor of the state as commander-in-chief. Right? Interesting. Going here. This leaves one born in any of the 50 states with options of citizenship, which is where you get the difference in citizenship, state citizenship, federal citizenship, right? Because each state of the Union has separate sovereignty from that of the United States government. There are at least two types of citizenships in America: state citizenship and United States citizenship, which is federal citizenship, right? While most Americans readily and unwittingly claim to be U.S. citizens, the provisions of these two types of American citizenships are distinct from each other, so they matter. There's a plumb line. There's one side and there's the other side, right? I personally prefer to not use the term citizen at all and use state national. So he's saying he's a state citizen. Instead, today the term is presumed to mean U.S. citizen. To avoid any confusion, one has nationality with their respective nation state that they were born in and can utilize the title of state national if they see fit. So boom, that last sentence said a lot. So he's telling you that as a state national, you have different benefits, right, than a federal citizen or a federal national. You know what I mean? To keep things uniform. Now, let's go back here, right? So, in a nutshell, though, what he's telling you is if you're a state citizen, then the state works for you, right? If you're a federal citizen, then essentially you're working for the state, which is where we get into these commodity words and things of that nature, and these bank bond papers and your Social Security, your driver's license, and all that, right? And then this kind of goes into how you reclaim your citizenship, your state, your sovereign citizenship, and all that good stuff. Good information, man. I encourage anybody to come check that out. Now, this right here is kind of like some of the benefits of being a state citizen, right? And this reads, discharge any debts and bonds. So there's no more debts, there's no more taxes, there's none of that, right? You never have to pay a traffic ticket if you so choose. You cannot be sued in any court in this country, being that all court is federal, right? Legally eliminate paying income tax, both federal and state. Boy, that sounds good to me. The system will fight you to keep this control over you, even though they know it's legal for you to leave the system, right? Just some more benefits of being a state citizen. Get all the money you have ever paid into the system returned back to you with interest from the IRS. Again, they will not willingly return your money. Stop paying any more into the IRS. You can legally stop the stealing at your source with your employer. Now, that right there is something that I think that's a good tidbit for us all, because, a lot of us, you can't just stop working, right? And you have a life and you have a way of going about getting that life done, and you don't wake up tomorrow and have a new way of living, right? That's why it's important to educate yourself, and we got to start working better. And even if we can't change our lives, maybe we can teach our kids the better way, right? Train them up in the way they should go, and when they get old, they shall not depart. So it starts with us, man. We didn't get here in a generation, and we're not gonna get out in a generation. I truly believe that, unless our Father comes back tomorrow and makes that crooked way straight, right? So, all that to understand that most of us are federal citizens. If you own a Social Security card, birth certificate, driver's license, get your car registered, you're a federal citizen, which means you work for the state, which means the feds own you, right? You don't own yourself. The Federal Reserve does. And this article here is viewzone.com, collateral, right? .html by Gary View for ViewZone. And we're going to kind of read through a little bit. For a while, I have been receiving an email from a good friend who has asked me to investigate something weird about the birth certificates. He wanted me to take a look at them because they have certain numbers and other things printed on them that need an explanation. When I looked at my birth certificate, I noticed it was a copy of an original. So I went through old boxes and baby books that my mom had saved before she died and found what I was looking for. My original birth certificate. It was brittle and yellow with decades of age, but wow, it was not the original. What I have learned since is kind of like discovering that you are part of the Matrix. Yeah, agreed, my brother. It seems none of us have an original birth certificates. They're all copies, and the copies have serial numbers on them, issued on special bank on papers and authorized by the American Banknote Company, which goes right back to the beginning where we started, right? Corporation, right? Company. The truth is stranger than fiction. Now, he goes back into some history about where the birth certificate come from, why it exists, stuff like that. And this is where it gets kind of muddy. Different sources say different things, but what's true in this for sure is when is here. I want to read this, and it says, when you or I need money, we have something that's collateral and go to the bank for a loan, right? Your house, your title, or your car title, what have you, right? When a country needs more money, it has to go somewhere also. But in 1913, there wasn't anywhere to go, so the U.S. created the Federal Reserve Act. This established a private central bank. A private central bank. The Federal Reserve Bank. That's important to understand because many of us are pushed into IRS and taxes, believing that it is a government establishment, right, that would regulate the amount of money the U.S. government was allowed to borrow and put in circulation. So basically, this bank is the Bank of America, right? Like it of the government of America, right? And is allowed to put in circulation. It is also would expect to be repaid like any bank with interest. Interesting. Keep that in mind. Okay, let's take a pause to look at the birth certificate. You will see the red numbers, and you will see that it is a fact. That it is fact in reality a bank note. Congratulations, you and I are commodities. Yeah. What's a commodity? Collateral. What's that collateral do? It's a guarantee on monies, right? Which is, we're gonna get into this. We're gonna get into this. Don't you worry. Since the early 1960s, state governments have issued birth certificates to persons with legal fictional names using all cap names. This is not a lawful record of a physical birth, but rather the acknowledgement of the birth of the juristic all cap name. It may appear to be your true name, but since no proper name is ever written in all caps, either lawfully or grammatically, it does not identify who you are, right? So it's trickery. It's trickery in itself, because what they're doing is they're making you, I think he touched on it. He touches on this. I'm gonna read. The birth certificate is the government's self-created document of title for its new property. Not new person, property, right? What's that property? You and me. In a way, it makes us a kind of corporation whose company name is the same as our real name, but written in all caps. This corporation then generates taxes and wealth over its lifetime, and in this way repays the collateral that the Uncle Sam borrowed from the Federal Reserve. So, boom, all that put together, let's do it like this. So, when you're born, they then your parents make a birth certificate. That birth certificate is then used to then turn as a bank bond, which goes into the Federal Reserve, which can be worth anywhere from $650,000 to $1 million, right? What have you? That number fluctuates as well. That money is then used to then push into the economy, right? And then you go to work or what have you, you get your check, and then you pay taxes on that check. You pay taxes on everything you buy via that money, and all this taxes and interest go back into the Federal Reserve, right? Then understand that who owns the Federal Reserve? U.S. government. So then the government uses you to make money or to create money, right? And then via you make more money. So it's this big circle that they put you in, and no matter which way you turn, you lose. How is that possible? Well, you're a federal citizen. Therefore, you work for the state. So they can do what they want to you. And it's constitutionally sound via, the fact of this whole agreement that they put you in and gave you no notice of, right? So remember that bond thing printed on the bottom of the certificate, bond, a usual formal written agreement by which a person undertakes and performs a certain act. So the birth certificate is a bond, right? What's a bond? As fulfill the obligations of a contract, with the conditions that failure to perform or abstain will obligate the person. Oh, now you're a person, all right? To pay a sum of money and will result in a forfeit of money put up by the person or surety. So that's how you can get into tax debt and student loans, and yeah, that's where all this comes from, right? So, and this word surety is the same as commodity, is the same as interest, right? So you're basically just basically your guarantee, your warranty, bro. Your collateral, right? Which sucks, bro. It sucks. And like I say, I'm not gonna read all of this, but it is a good one to read. Good read. I guess I can go here. Yeah, I'm gonna read it. Once a state has registered a birth document with the U.S. Department of Commerce, the department notifies the Treasury Department, the Treasury Department, which takes out a loan from the Federal Reserve. The Treasury uses the loan to purchase a bond. The Fed holds a purchase money security interest in the bond for the Department of Commerce, which invests the sale proceed in the stock or bond market. The Treasury Department then issued Treasury securities in the form of a Treasury bond, notes, and bills, using the bonds as surety for the new securities. So, what I already told you, they use you to make money, to create money, and then that money is then placed into our economic system on interest. This cycle is based on the future tax revenues of the legal person whose name appears on the birth certificate, so the legal person who turned itself into a commodity. This also means that the bankrupt corporation U.S. can guarantee to the purchasers of their securities the lifetime labor and tax revenues of every citizen of the United States of America, which is why they make you grow up thinking, oh, you need to work, you have to do this, you have to fit in this structure, these are your careers, pick one, right? With a birth certificate as a collateral for payment, this device is initiated simply by converting the lawful true name of a child into a legal juristic name of a person. Legally, you are considered to be a slave and indentured servant to the various federal, state, and local governments via your state issued and state created birth certificate, social security, driver's license, right, in the name of your all caps person. Birth certificates are issued so that the user can claim exclusive title to the legal person created thereby. Sleep well, fellow slaves, right? You're a slave. We're all slaves, right? There's no society in history that didn't have to pay tribute and wasn't slave, right? What's tribute? Taxes. All right. So, basically, as I find this, and I found the comment, but I do want to take 2 seconds and, I know this stuff is maddening, right? Get your blood boiling, bro. You feel tricked. You feel played, bamboozled, hoodwinked, right? Feel like you're hustling backwards because you are. But my thing is, and my point in bringing this stuff out is not to, call for an uprising in what one would consider to be an uprising. No riots. I don't need nobody shooting up government officials or, going to burn up Mason buildings. You know what I'm saying? Let them people ride. How you fight is, we got to get back into righteousness, bro. Because as you read this, bro, you can feel the wicked on it. It's wicked how these people have played us, right? For generations. So my point in this is to hopefully bring people into repentance, because if you can see the devil, I pray you learn how to run to our Father, right? That's it. That is in heaven. For he is waiting for us, and he tells us that he will make the crooked way straight and the rough path smooth. But, right? But is always conditional. There's something we must do to get that. You want this, you got to do this, right? And what he tells us is we must turn from evil. We must repent. We must, seek his face, right? You have to seek his face. You have to pursue righteousness to then reap the reward of the righteous, right? So, my point in this is to hopefully bring people to submission of his word, and that we can see the importance of his word. Because I know for me, in recognizing that the devil was real and knowing that the devil is a creation, he was created just like everything else. Only Yahuwah, or God, comes before time. He is the inventor of time. He stands outside of time and space. Everything else is a construct and created via his will, right? So if you can see the devil, hopefully you can see the very real need of our Father. That's my point, right? So basically, I got to that's the kit and caboodle of why I'm even doing this right now, right? But this comment here was one that's interesting to me, and I felt like it was a good way to kind of summarize everything that we read to this point. So, guy named David, right? I have known this for a very long time. So the question that truly needs to be raised are, what type of person are you? What kind of citizen are you? Are you a slave or not? Do you have a choice? The good book says you cannot serve two masters, right? So whom do you serve? Are you corporate because they say you are a legal person? Or are you a natural born person who has God-given rights? You see, when you pick up the banner of legal person, you have supposedly waived your rights for privilege, right? So what he's saying is if you choose to be a federal citizen, you waive the rights of a state citizen. It is up to you and all of us to announce what kind of person you are. Unfortunately for most, they have most of us in lockstep with uniform commercial code and laws of contract. So most of us are asleep, dead in the matrix, right? A birth certificate, registration of birth, is nothing more than a contract Did they tell you you were signing a contract? Did you know you didn't have to register the birth? Whatever happened to the family Bible and the recording of births? Now, this is what was in place before the birth certificates. The family tree, you know, your family, your mom kept record of how many kids she had and what their name was, and you know what I mean? That was all family. That's personal, right? Keep in mind that the birth certificates didn't even really get into swing until 1960, right? Hasn't even been a whole century since this stuff has been in play, but they treat you like it has to happen. Why? Because it benefits them. You're just a tool in their game. You're a pawn on a chess match, right? And that goes for us all, bro. That's important to bring out too. It's not one sect of people. This affects everybody, right? It's sad. It's sad. To make matters worse, they have registered a bastard child. They show the father's name and the mother's maiden name and not the married name, right? Now, why in the world would they do that? I suspect any contract has to be signed by two witnesses. And of course, those would be their own birth names. So basically, lawfully, spiritually, once you marry, you become one, right? And your father's name is one name. So then they use the mother's maiden name as the name, because then they can separate the two entities. Because even lawfully, you know, marriage licenses, taxes, all that, you're one, right? So yeah, it's trickery, bro. It's so much trickery. If you think this has all happened by accident, you are mistaken. The banks own you and all you own, right? What you mean? How can you say such matters? That ain't true, right? Don't pay your real estate property taxes and your house is paid off. Guess who really owned this? We found that out, right? Banks started foreclosing left and right on boys, right? Your car is never owned by you. The state owns it. Don't tag it and watch who gets it, right? You know what I'm saying? Go down the road without a license plate and see how fast them boy whoop whoop. Boy gonna be on your backside, boy. What you mean? What you doing? Where you going? Give me that. The Fed, I skipped, but this guy here, he wrote a book, The Creature from the Jekyll Island by Edward Griffin, the founding of the Federal Reserve, and it doesn't end there. The Fed is not bank owned and controlled by the U.S. government. It is owned by international families, such as the Rothschilds, right? Rockefeller, you know what I'm saying? So to take it a step further, you are owned by foreigners. That's so ironic, bro. Anyway, your body has been collateralized and a bond has been issued on all your future earnings, your children and all their future earnings, right? Did they explain this to you in public school? I think not. It's finding out the truth. Isn't finding out the truth so much fun? It kind of takes the steam out of your focus, don't it? And what he mean is, you know, we chase this carrot our whole life. You know, we want to be doctors, lawyers, you know, successful, right? Find financial freedom, right? But then when you find out that you're a hamster on a wheel, bro, it does, right? There is so much more to understand on how our U.S. government has swindled the American people. It's so much to find out. Hell, start with figuring out the fact that what is money? This paper dollars that you carry around, right? It's so much, bro. Did you know that there are 3 definitions for the United States in the Black Law Dictionary? Why so many? The first 2 are corporate. The third is the United States of America under this Constitution. Gosh, I guess that means the other 2 are not. How profound, right? By contract, these bastards can do anything they want and not have to worry whether or not something is constitutional. When they do that, they're only giving lip service. So when they get on the podiums doing their political speeches and, you know, government announcements and we are working for the American people, we will make things better, you know, lip service, bro, is bogus, bro, because the system is not even set up that way to even care about you as a person. It only cares about what you produce, which is why production, industry, overhead, profit, that's what matters, bro. And they make you think that's what matters. Like, you have managers that don't even own the building that's going to tell you working too slow. Break's over, right? All of us are indoctrinated, man. All of us. You know what I mean. Those that are still asleep to these facts and need to come out of her, yeah, indoctrinated. Like, for example, bro, sidebar, man, I had a nurse, right? Just had a baby not too long ago. And the nurse was like, you should vaccinate. I was like, man, I'm not going to vaccinate my baby. And I gave her some facts. You know, this stuff got formaldehyde in it, monkey blood. It got a preservative in it that's second to radioactive chemicals and whatnot. No person is supposed to have that stuff in them. You know, your body, the stuff is designed for someone to be able to ingest it. That's 250 pounds, right? A grown individual. You trying to tell me to put this in my baby? Hell, I'm not even 250 pounds. These are facts, right? She say, well, as a nurse, I recommend you get. So you're going to tell me your indoctrinated opinion versus these facts, bro? People sleep, right? And that's a nurse. Most people will be like, man, you know, she knows what she talking about. No, she went to school and became just as indoctrinated as we were in school, right? You know, it doesn't change, bro. It's indoctrination, bro. You're a robot. Oh no, I'm sorry. You're a commodity. As I read on, bro. When you exchange your signature on your Social Security card, you exchange your natural rights for a future economic benefit, and in so doing, you contract away your so-called freedom. So yeah, that's where you get into topics such as, oh well, the government, man, it gives us Social Security and welfare, and you know, it feeds the homeless. You get food stamps, right? And all that, right? But you trading that for your freedom, right? To be a sovereign person, to be what you were intended to be. You're trading that for dollars. And again, research money, bro. Research it, bro. I think it was Richard Nixon that whenever the New Deal came into play, is good to dig your teeth into, right? Are you required to have a Social Security number? No. Is it any wonder Mexicans can come into the Band of America and open an account without one? That's a good question, bro, because I never even thought about that. That boy hit me. I was like, huh, when that boy hit me with that one, right? What are we going to do about all this when most folks don't even know that they're free? Only God, if you know me, that's a Yahuwah right there, can help us at this point. Please join in and pray that he will hear our plight. Now, at that point again, I say, man, the only way he's going to hear us is if we turn our ear to his Torah, because his book tells us those who turn their ear from his Torah, even their prayers are abominations, right? The only way we get our petitions heard is if we walk righteous before him, and his righteousness is his word. So repentance is required. I pray we get that. You know what I mean? I mentioned earlier how, you know, these people, this affects us all, right? And in this, bro, we can see, I hope we can see the intent of the hearts of the people that, you know, we've set above us. And, you know, a lot of people believe that these people are out for our good. They'll even call me a conspiracy theorist. Hell, I just read articles. I just gave you facts. But it's just a conspiracy theory, right? Because it's not with the grain of mainstream. But if you do look at things such as vaccines or chemtrails or even how they treat our water, right, you can see that these people care nothing about you, bro. Look at life expectancy, bro. It only goes down, right? You can look at so many things, bro. It's crazy, bro. Just look at how they treat the world. You know, they kill the planet, bro. They got us helping them do it, you know. It's so wicked on so many different levels, bro. And again, my hope is that we can understand this and understand our need to seek righteousness. Now, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I'm going to leave that where it is, and I pray that anybody watches this video comes away thinking, and I pray those thoughts inspire hope, and I mean, you know, good things, you know, that you fight for what's right. Beyond that, man, I just want to say I love y'all, bro. Shalom, shalom.